Hey everyone, Phazon343 here, and I'm back with another discussion video. I'm kind of shocked, honestly. My last one, which was my first discussion video, we're on the verge of cracking 200 views on that, and I think I got like 8 or 9 or 10 likes or something on it. And I know that may not sound like a whole lot to anybody, but to me, like for my first real video edit, like because that's really the first video that I like kind of wrote like a basic script for and edited myself. That was like the first video I edited and like really put in a little bit of time to edit in years. So the fact that I've got like almost 200 views on that video and so many people were like positive on it, that blows my mind. So first, before I get started, I just want to say thank you to everybody that checked that out and liked it and commented on it. I really appreciate it. But anyway, on to the topic at hand, which is the Nintendo Switch 2 game keycard controversy. Yeah, I don't know. Admittedly I'm a bit late to the party on this. This really blew up about 2 months ago, and I think it was right around like April. What was it? Yeah, I think it was like March, April 2025, when game key cards were kind of announced, I guess, and shown off, and people really pushed back on it, and for good reason. I mean, you'll find out in the video, I guess, if you watch this all the way through. But yeah, I don't know. Even though I'm kind of late to this, I just kind of wanted to, make a video, get my thoughts out there, see what you guys have to say about it too, because I want to see what other people in the comments have to say about the Switch 2 game key cards. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get started. But yeah, let's first go over exactly what game key cards are for the Nintendo Switch 2 before we really, before I give my thoughts and opinions and stuff on it. So for those that don't know, Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards, they're basically cartridges that essentially act as an activation key to download the game from the internet to your console. In other words, there's no actual game on the cartridge. All it does is tell your Nintendo Switch 2 to download the game from Nintendo's servers to your console. Meaning, if you have no internet and you try to launch a game keycard for the first time, you won't be able to play it. Now, if you previously downloaded the game while you were online with your Switch 2, you can play it offline as long as the cartridge is inserted in your Switch 2. That cartridge has to be inserted in the console to play it, even if you have it downloaded. That's a very basic explanation as to what a Nintendo Switch 2 game keycard is. I would highly recommend anybody watching this video go and look up more info, like go do your own research. I gave you guys the gist of it, but that's basically what it is. But I would still encourage you guys to go and look up just to get more information and stuff on game key cards, just so you guys have a better understanding of it. But that's the basics. That's the basics of it, right? Now, as an alternative to an all-digital game, I actually like the concept of game key cards for a couple of different reasons. You can sell them or let a friend borrow it just like you could a traditional physical game. And as long as they have access to the internet to download the game initially, they can play it just like a traditional physical game. Again, as long as they have access to the internet to download it initially. Another reason is if you lose access to your Nintendo account or have to do a factory reset for your Nintendo Switch 2, resulting in the deletion of all the data on the console, you can still just pop in a game keycard game and download it from the servers. And it doesn't even require a Nintendo account to do so. All you literally do is pop in that game keycard into your Nintendo Switch 2 console, and it will automatically download the game. No accounts, no subscription online required. It will just download the game. I actually do believe they are, a better alternative to an all digital game. There's a lot more pros with a game keycard, honestly. Just the fact that you can sell that to somebody, you can sell that to GameStop, you could sell a game keycard game to on Facebook Marketplace. You can let a friend borrow that, a friend or family member borrow that, and you can still play that game once you get that cartridge back, and they can play it all without them spending money on another copy of the game, right? You can't do that with an all digital game, right? If I buy a game digitally, I can't let a friend borrow that, right? That's not typically something that you can do. I know there are like some small like kind of exceptions to that. Like I guess with like Steam, you can buy a game for a friend and gift it to them, but that's not the same as you buying your own game and then letting your friend borrow that for free. You know what I mean? That's a separate thing. But Anyway, the point is game key cards actually do have a couple of benefits over an all digital game. But at the same time, when compared to a traditional physical game, they're like I can't think of any positives to a game key card over a physical game in my mind. I can't think of a single positive, right? Because think about this, right? A traditional physical game that's all on the cartridge, or that's all on a Blu-ray disc for Xbox Series X or PS5 or whatever, right? If you have a traditional physical game, that game will just run, okay? Now, you might still have to download an update for it or something when you're connected online. But again, we're talking about a traditional physical game that is, ready to play off the disc. There are no other stipulations to playing that game. You pop that game in and you start playing, And like I said, like obviously most games nowadays, there's going to be updates for them. But again, we're talking a traditional physical game that is all on cart, all on disc. You just pop it in, you can play it, you can let your friends borrow that, you can sell it, you can do whatever the hell you want with it, right? And a game key card, you can sell it, you can trade it away or whatever, or you can let a friend borrow it, but at the same time, if I buy Bravely Default Remastered, right, which is a game key card game for Nintendo Switch 2, and I pop that in my Switch 2, I play it for 5 or 10 hours, and then I let a friend borrow that game, right? I can no longer play that game until I get that cartridge back. Like I can't play it. Like you can't play it unless that cartridge is inserted in your Switch 2. So, in a way, I mean I guess that's one negative compared to an all digital game. I think that's the only negative I can think of off the top of my head from a game key card versus a all digital game. It's, you download an all digital game and you download it to your console. It's there at all times. It's not going anywhere unless you delete it, right? But with a game keycard game, even though you downloaded it from Nintendo's servers with that cartridge has to be in the console in order to launch the game, even if you've already downloaded that and even if you're offline. My point with all of this is to say that when it comes to these three mediums, right? Physical, all digital, and game keycards, each one of these options has its own unique pros and cons to it. And I think having game keycards as an option is a good thing. But what I really don't like about this whole situation is it appears that Nintendo is kind of forcing developers to go the route of putting most of their games on these game keycards. Now, not all of them, and especially not like smaller indie games, but apparently Nintendo is only allowing, or it only has two different sizes for Nintendo Switch 2 game cartridges, and those two sizes are 64 gigabyte cartridge. For example, Cyberpunk 2077 is using that, and I don't know this for sure, but it's a far smaller cartridge with less than like 8 gigabytes of data available to it. So what that means is, unless you have like a big AAA game like Cyberpunk 2077, I don't know if Hogwarts Legacy is going to be on a 64 gigabyte card or if that's also a game key card off the top of my head. But that's like, I'm thinking of like another big game that's going to be on the Switch 2 that I could see using a 64 gigabyte cartridge. Unless you have like a big game like that you could put onto a 64 gigabyte cartridge, or you have a smaller indie game that is less than, let's say, 6 or 7 gigs, or whatever the size is of that smaller one. It's kind of forcing a lot of developers to go the route of using the game keycards because they don't really have a choice, because apparently the 64 gigabyte cartridge is like uber expensive. I was seeing a bunch of different reporting on it. I don't know exactly how much it is off the top of my head. But I was seeing that on top of all of the other manufacturing costs, it's like $20 per cartridge that they manufacture on top of what it costs to actually, make the case, print the game. Like it's $20 extra for a 64 gigabyte card is what I'm saying. So what that means is that's going to be super expensive for a smaller indie team, or even like a middling, like kind of double A studio. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So Nintendo is kind of forcing a lot of developers' hands by either make your game small enough to use the smaller, cheaper cartridge, or if your game is a large AAA big game with a lot of space, you're gonna have to, you put it on the 64 gigabyte card, and anything in between there, you either pay the ridiculous amount of money apparently it is for the 64 gigabyte card, or you just do the game key card route, which is far cheaper for developers in general, which is and that's exactly what you're seeing, right? And I just don't like it because it just feels like Nintendo is killing off physical media with this decision. Now Nintendo, they're not entirely killing it off. Nintendo is putting out a lot of their own first party games on cartridges. To my knowledge, I don't think there hasn't been any games announced from Nintendo that are going to be on a game key card, at least as of this recording, which is like what, July 14th, 2025. So that very well could change in the future. But I just don't like how Nintendo is just forcing developers to do this, because it feels like they're trying to. It feels like they're purposely. I can't even talk right now. It feels like they're trying to intentionally kill off physical media in a big way in order to do this. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. You can argue and come up with a bunch of different reasons why Nintendo would want to do this. Right? Put down in the comments what you think. But I largely think the big reason why Nintendo wants to kind of kill physical media is largely in part due to leakers. In the past couple of years, leakers have really. I'm trying to think of like a synonym for leaker. A lot of leakers have leaked big Nintendo games in the past couple of years. I'm thinking the last one that really, I don't know, you really don't know how much leakers like really damage the sales of games. I mean, you can't really know that. But the last big Nintendo game I can think of where leakers really affected Nintendo in that way was with Tears of the Kingdom, because that game leaked, I want to say like 3 or 4 days before the actual release. And yeah, so I think that's a large reason why Nintendo wants to kind of curb physical media in general. I mean, leakers, hackers for the Nintendo Switch 2, modders and stuff like that. I don't think Nintendo. I mean, we've all seen it. They do not. Nintendo does not. They do not support any of that, right? And so, they're just trying to curb it as best as they can. So that's why I think they're trying to really push the game key cards on developers. Is largely to fight leakers, hackers, modders, etc. To prevent that. I think it should also be said too that, as much shit as we want to give Nintendo, and I'm giving them shit, and a lot of other people are giving them shit, rightfully so, because I think a lot of people aren't in support of game key cards, right? But I think it is also important to note that Nintendo really aren't the first ones. I mean, Nintendo are the first ones to kind of enforce this, right? But they're not the first ones to kind of have this weird middling ground between physical and digital. If you look at like the Xbox Series X, I mean, not even the Series X, but the Xbox One, PS4, PS5, there are so many games now, quote unquote physical games. I'm, using that in quotations. Physical games where you go into a store, you buy that game, that quote unquote physical game, but it says it right on the box. It requires a download to even run the game, right? So I think that's also important to know. It's Nintendo aren't the only ones guilty of this, because other developers and Sony and Microsoft, they release quote unquote physical games just like this on their platforms as well. But Nintendo are the first ones to really like kind of strong arm developers into kind of going like, hey, your game either better be like a big AAA game to release on the 64 gigabyte cart, or it better be a small little indie game, because if it's not one of those two, I mean, it's game key card route all day for you, right? That's what it seems like they're doing. So Yeah, I mean, overall, like just a quick summary, I guess, of my thoughts. I'm not, I don't support game key cards. I'm not going to be buying any game key card games. Even though, man, I'm so looking forward to the Bravely Default Remastered. Bravely Default Remastered is or not the remaster, but Bravely Default in general. Like the series is one of my favorite turn-based RPGs of all time. I love Bravely Default, man. I love it. Adia Lee, one of the best JRPG characters of all time, and Ring a Bell too. Shout out to Ring a Bell. I love both of those too, right? And I was so looking forward to the remaster, but then when I found out it was a game key card, I can't support it. And obviously this sucks. I mean, you're just, it's other game series that I have interest in, or other game series that I love or I really really enjoy. If it's not something at the top of my favorite series, they're going to be the ones that are hurting from this, right? Because again, like I love Bravely Default. I love that series so much, but I'm not paying for a game key card. I'm just going to pick it up digitally at that point for a far cheaper price. I'll pay for that game when it's like 15 or 20 bucks or something, you know? So I really, in my case, it's just going to hurt. It's going to hurt other games that I want to play that I'm interested in, but I'm not going to pay full price for a game key card. So that's who I feel like is really going to be hurting from this. It's not smaller indie games, because they're going to be able to release their games on the smaller cartridges, right? And it's not going to be the big AAA games like Cyberpunk 2077, Hogwarts Legacy, because they're going to be putting those games on 64 gigabyte cards. It's kind of the games right down the middle, like the double A space. Like those are the developers that are going to be kind of suffering from this the most. I feel like, it's like sales wise and all that. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my general overview of game key cards. Again, like I'm not a fan of them. I'm not going to support them. I'm not going to buy them. I think I talked about it earlier. There are some benefits over digital media. A digital media game or an all digital game versus a game keycard game. There are some positives to it, but when compared to traditional physical, it's almost a downgrade. It's a downgrade in almost every single way to a traditional physical game. And I don't like how Nintendo is forcing developers down this path to either gimp your game to get it to fit on a small cartridge, or pay an absurd amount of price for the expensive 64 gigabyte cartridge. I really don't like that. It feels really really slimy from Nintendo. So I'm not gonna. I can't support spending any money on game key cards. So yeah, guys, those are just my quick thoughts on the Nintendo Switch 2 game keycard situation. What do you guys think? What do you think about game keycards? Are you guys cool with them? Are you fine with them, or are you just as pessimistic or negative on them as I am? Or let me know down below, because I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say. So yeah, again, I just want to say thank you to everybody that checked out my last video. The fact that I'm about to hit 200 views on that is like still crazy to me. So I just want to say thank you guys yet again. That's awesome. I super appreciate it. So yeah, that's gonna be it for me, guys. If you watch this far, give me a like, follow the channel. That really really helps. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. But before I go, I just want to say one last thing to Nintendo/Square Enix. Okay, let me see if I can do it. This is not a physical game right here, right? This is a physical game. If you guys can see it right there. Hopefully that looks good with the lighting and everything. This is a physical game. Anyways, guys, take care. Thank you for watching.